Hi. I was just watching, or starting to watch, McMusing, which is Michael's video, Ramblings of a Crazy Person, and, I thought I should ramble. I look like a little baby hedgehog. That's what my hair reminds me of. Anyway, it's about noon on Saturday. I went and sort of taught today. It's usually a very, very big sort of event where these high schools and middle schools meet with a local college, Duke, and play with them at their halftime for a football game. And it's usually really big to do, and usually do it earlier in the year, and usually Jackie does it, and she's been doing it for quite some time, and she couldn't because she has their last contest is today. So, I said, oh, I'll do it, no big deal. I'm on antibiotics, but I've been off them for a little bit, so sure, whatever, it's money, and it's not a hard thing to do. So I did get up pretty early for me. I didn't sleep last night. I was out of the house by 6:45. I stopped for sort of breakfast, but I only really ate like a part of it. And then I was there by like 8:15, and got a parking pass. Waited around for almost an hour to find out there were 3 bands, and they were tiny. And they're supposed to have like 23 guard kids. For 3 bands, 1 kid shows up. So, like, sort of teach her what's going on, but I'm like, I totally understand you don't want to go out there and spin by yourself. So I left early. I was supposed to leave at 11, I ended up leaving at 10. And I came home. I mean, easy money, but it sucks. I was sort of like, it was sort of disappointing to not be able to teach anything. I mean, I felt kind of useless, but I'm sorry. I'm just getting out of a bath. So I came home and took a bath. That's sort of my update on what went on. I'm just, I don't know. I've got a lot on my mind since yesterday. I went to the OBGYN, and she didn't have my records, so I have to go try to track those down. But, it looks like we're gonna just do it. I mean, it's what I want, but it's not just what I want, it's what's going to have to happen eventually. I mean, we could go in every 5 years and do this, but as much as I hate another surgery, and believe me I do, because it's a lot of stress, the insurance does not pay for everything. It is not this magical world, and I'm not under the impression that it's this magical world where, you get a surgery and your insurance pays for it. They pay for it, but they don't pay for all of it, especially anesthesia. Anesthesia is really, really not covered, and because I've had gallbladder, port, shoulder, swap the port, it's like 4 surgeries. In December will be a year, so in like 10 or 11 months. I really don't want to, but there's never a good time to have a surgery. I mean, I hate it, but there just isn't, and if I'm teaching next fall, putting it off is just bad. And at some point, I think, Jackie may want her to look into it, and I would rather get mine out of the way so she knows what's going on. I mean, I sort of am an experiment body anyway. So, it is a total hysterectomy. I know there's some, misunderstanding in the trans community, but it is everything. It is cervix, it is uterus, it is both ovaries, tubes, everything. People say hysterectomy, and that usually doesn't mean everything. Anyway, terminology issue. Anyway, but everything, and we're gonna do it laparoscopically, I think. I gotta go back and see her once I've got my records, but it looks like with the 2nd week of January we're gonna do it, but I'm gonna talk to her and see if maybe we can do it earlier. it sucks because like, I was waiting for her to get records, and had I known she hadn't gotten them, I would have gone earlier, and things just would have been different, and I could have gotten in earlier. So it just sucks because earlier would be a lot better. Deductible wise and just surgically, it's sort of the better option. Yeah, we go to the wizard doctor on Monday in DC. A lot of questions to ask him. Really need to change up protocol. Really looking into this cerebrospinal thing, the venous thing. For those of you who are like Lyme people, let me pull up what it's called so I can say it properly. It's CCSVI. If you actually search that, the Wikipedia link will come up in like the second link. It's chronic cerebrospinal venous insufficiency. Basically means your jugular vein and your zygos vein artery, sorry. They're like clogged, or there's not enough blood is passing through. Anyway, it's really interesting because I haven't been on antibiotics in a while, at least not antibiotics to treat Lyme, and I remembered sort of this feeling that I'd forgotten for so long, and I lived with it for so long that I sort of stopped thinking about it. But I don't know if anybody else has this, but I have this extreme pain, and it is unbearable, and it feels like my spine is being twisted inside my body and crushed. It runs all the way from like the middle of my back up through my neck, and actually sometimes I can feel in here and in here. It feels like it's just constricting. I don't know if that has anything to do with this thing, but I'm really curious because I haven't heard anybody else describe that. It is not muscle pain, and it is not joint pain. It is totally different. It feels like my vertebrae are like sitting on top of each other, and somebody's doing like this to them. Excruciating. So that's back. As is all the antibiotics related intestinal issues. Anyway, but I was saying I was a little stressed from Friday because Thursday I had a dentist appointment. I have to go back to orthodontist. Friday I had the OBGYN appointment, and then I had to see Susan. And I find I never come away from appointments feeling lighter. I feel sort of heavier. I understand I should have more to think about in theory, and when I go away, I sort of get locked up on things. I sort of get to a point where I don't know where else to go, and I don't know that she does either, because the direction she's sending me doesn't really make sense. I mean, I can see it, but it doesn't make sense to me, because it's sort of like going on a witch hunt. It's like, look through your past and find proof of why this is important. And I understand a lot of trans people can do that, and I can. I mean, there are moments that I can. I don't know, it's sort of like she was like, I hate to say things in generalized terms, because it's not really fair, because I don't have enough time to sort of elaborate on what was said, but she's sort of like, you need to figure out if this is a true gender issue, that you know, that's how you're gonna label it, and that's what it is, or you need to work through and find out if this is just some other issue that's just clogged sort of up in your sexuality. I don't even know that makes sense. I feel like every time I try to explain it, even in my head, it gets more jumbled, like what she was telling me to do. I went in with like less than 48 hours away from a brain wipe. I mean, I was having repeated ones, and I was getting really good at pretending like I knew what was going on. If you start talking about something that's in my brain's muscle memory, it just goes into hyperdrive for a while until I crash again. And basically what was happening is I was wiping out, going into hyperdrive, and then getting so tired I wiped down again, and it just became this really vicious cycle I couldn't get out of last week. But I feel like I can't explain it, and I feel like it's making me a little crazy. Anyway, anybody who I don't know, has had similar problems, feel free to message me. I feel like I'm the only person who is not ever going to identify in the binary, and I feel like the only person who is having trouble even deciding what exactly I want to do about all of this. And I feel like that's important to me, because by figuring out what I'm going to do, I feel like to be able to do that, I would have to be able to define myself, and I feel like I'm having a really hard time defining what I'm okay with. I can define what I'm not okay with, but I can't pinpoint what I'm okay with. I don't know. Anyway, hope everybody has a good weekend. Take care. Be well.